Hello Nerdeth, again today with another daily flip. Today we're going to be talking about Canada and the difficulties that it creates when you're into Balisong flipping. So, Canada. There's only one law in the Criminal Code Act that brings up Balisong knives. They call it a gravity knife. And it says that any knife that can be opened automatically, this is the word that I don't like, automatically by the use of centrifugal force or by the use of a button. So, if I were to ever get caught, I think that's what I would say. I'd be like, I can't open this automatically by the use of centrifugal force. Right? It's not automatic. Centrifugal force, right, by the use of a spring, right? And it uses the like an assisted opening or a straight up automatic uses a spring and centrifugal force to flick the knife open. That's not the case in here. I'm not using an automatic centrifugal force. And then it says gravity knife. So like they would call this a gravity knife in Canada. So again, I think the law and you know, I have a couple of friends that I asked about this, you know, no names, but most people wouldn't know what the law is about this, about butterfly knives. I mean, unless you're living in an area that has high crime, which I've never lived, and then probably then you'd be more, people would, you know, cops would kind of know what to do with, and they would most likely just confiscate, and you know, unless you have a criminal, and then, you know, if you have a criminal background, then you could be charged with, you know, possession of prohibited weapons, because that's what it is. It says prohibited weapon as semi-automatic submachine guns, nunchucks, and brass knuckles. All right, so they fit in the same category as prohibited weapons. So, as you can tell, that's not something that you can import legally. You can't import parts legally as well. You're not allowed to. It's considered illegal to ship in parts of illegal prohibited weapons. So, you know, it's parts and, you know, full assembly. You can't get them shipped to Canada. So basically, you either got to find a way to bring them in Canada through customs, like I originally did in the Navy. Basically, like I bought them in the States, and then our ship didn't go through customs. You know, as we're a force military, you know, boat. Or you can bring them across the border, drive them across the border, and then get shipped to you, or have someone in the States that is willing to dismantle and ship in parts. Right, so. Again, that's completely legal behavior. I'm not saying I've ever done it. Yeah, but I've also shipped full butterfly knives to the States, and they made it there, and vice versa. So that's not something that can be done. It's just you just got to be careful. You know, you just got to label your packages. You know, spare parts or fishing gear or whatever the fuck, and then you put the blade in one, and then all the hardware and the handles in the other. And you just ship them separately. You just say one's a letter opener and the other one's is spare tools or parts or something like that. Again, I don't condone this behavior, and hopefully it doesn't come back to me, because this is a private channel. Anyways, I don't, me personally, I have an average of a knife purchase a year. One knife a year. So if I ever get caught with multiple knives and then they try to push it on me or say that I distribute and all that stuff, then I would just, you know, show them what I do, and you know, I would go to court, and you know, maybe they would get seized, but I don't think I would do jail time. I might get a fine, and they would get seized, and that would be it, you know. And then it would be of course it would be a thing on my it would be on my file, but most cops might not even go that far, right? So Canada, cops aren't like out to get you. Some are. I mean, it depends on the person, but in my experience here, they don't want extra work. They just want to keep the crime off the streets and, you know, stop people from doing illegal stuff. Like, you know, I'm not stupid with butterfly knives, right? So basically, my rule is they don't leave the house unless I'm going to do a shoot. And then if I do a shoot or a video and edit, I go somewhere very secluded, you know, I go hiking basically, and then I go and do and I take them out and I make sure there's no one around. And you know, I don't bring them to parties. I don't bring them to downtown. I don't carry them on me when I go to the mall or when I do stuff. Sometimes around the house I'll carry it and I'll use it and stuff, but I'll never bring them out and about just because why fucking take, you know, risk it? For one, I could lose it. I'm more worried about losing them than I am about getting them taken because I'm a fucking klutz and I have left them. One time I was in a remote community called shit. There's a video online of it. Anyways, it's in somewhere in northern Newfoundland, and I had a pail, and I had my rep, and I had a squid trainer in a pouch that I gave to Slash actually. Anyways, that pouch fell in my pocket, and I went home. It was an hour drive to drive back to go, and they were just laying on the ground. Like, it was. Anyways, I'm more afraid of losing my knives than I am getting them taken by cops. You know, shit like that. As for sending knives within Canada, there's no issue. You know, you fucking put them in a plastic bag and throw, you know, and then send them away. You know, as long as it doesn't smell like weed or, you know, have traces of explosives on it or some stupid shit like that. Like, basically nothing gets flagged unless your address has been flagged for another reason. Like if you bought a double-edged Balisong and you got it shipped in one piece from the States, and then they flag it, and then now everything gets flagged for a year. So I mean, one of my buddies, you know who you are, that happened, and it was a bad loss because, you know, then you just invested $500 or $600 in a knife and then you got nothing. So it's really poopy. I've never had anything seized at the borders. I've always been very careful with the way I handle. That's why I don't buy very many knives. And when I do, I do, like the last Infinity was in-country purchase, right? So I got it one piece. There was no hassle. It was basically best kind. There's not much to say about Canada. I mean, I can only speak about the Newfoundland because I lived in Nova Scotia before, and that's where I kind of had them. And funnily enough, I had it in Quebec City on a military base, and that's when I basically first learned was in the military shacks in Quebec City. And then I took them me on the plane in my luggage. It did fine. The only life I lost was my first original 42, and I had to go through oversized luggage, and they went through X-rays. And they saw it in X-ray, so they took it, and they said, "Oh, they're gonna call the cops," and no one has ever messaged me. Like I said before, I think the other day of Flip, I think it just got taken, and someone just pocketed it. You know, it's way cooler to have a knife than do the paperwork, so fuck it. I wouldn't blame someone for doing that, right? Other than that, flipping Canada sucks in the wintertime. I mean, if you live in the northern states, you'll know that flipping with cold hands really sucks. So in the wintertime, I find that I don't flip my heavier knives. I think I flip a lot the rep. Because G10 feels really good, and when your hands are cold, and it's, you know, it just sucks, right? Like, you'll come down in your basement. My basement here is half heated, so I'll come down and all my knives are really cold, and I'll throw them on like on my heat pump, like furnace, like hot air blowing on top of it just to warm it up, and so I can get flipping with it, and I'll heat my hands up, and then so like it really does suck in the wintertime. Other than that, that's it. I think I know some other countries have harsher penalties, so it's really hard to blame like Korea, where they could fucking go have death sentence for butterfly knives. It's fucking crazy, man. So Canada's not that far with that type of stuff. So pretty lucky to have and then especially in this province where it's very low key, the crime rate is really well. Crime rate per capita is still pretty high, but as opposed to Toronto and Montreal, the crime rate there's not nearly as many crime as there are out there. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please add anything if you want. Any comments are always welcome. Discussions. I've been liking the discussions that we've been having in our comments. I really appreciate people giving their feedback on stuff. Let me know if you want to hear something else. Thanks for watching. Cheers.